Hi, everybody. Me again, Mr. B, Hayfield Secondary School, middle school engineering teacher. This is going to be a video about cutting out the fuselage, or you call it the main body of the plane. Um, so your plan should have been or printed out like this, and you were going to cut out the fuselage, and you're going to cut it exactly to what's on here. These little triangular pieces here, people have asked me about those. You can cut those off. We'll talk more about that later. But I am going to cut this out very, very carefully. I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to pause the video, cut it out, and come back. You don't need to watch me cut it out. The trick is cut very, very carefully on this. So I'm going to do that and be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I've cut out the fuselage. Notice I cut it out exactly as it was drawn, right on the edges. Did a okay job. We're going to do something similar we did with the wing. Now the fuselage is going to be a lot more difficult to cut because it's really, really skinny and it's very thick. So it's going to take lots of passes through the balsa wood with our hobby knife to cut through the fuselage. Going to do some similar things here. I always like to, in this case, I'm just going to, again, I'm going to do what we call a dry fit. In other words, I'm going to set my materials out and just kind of put them together and see what it all looks like. All right. And the bottom of my fuselage, where I think most of yours, is going to be flat. So the smart thing to do is to line up the bottom of this pattern with the bottom of that piece of wood. Lots of glare in there. There we go. Line up this flat edge with the bottom of the pattern, bottom of the flat edge of the pattern with the flat edge of the wood, because I don't want to make more cuts than I need to. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And it looks like what I'm going to have to do is I will have to make a cut down here because I did tapered nose. There we go, tapered nose. And then a cut down here where it's tapered as well. Let's do that glue stick trick again. I'm not going to tape this down. I don't think it's necessary. Again, don't put a ton of glue on here. I'm just lightly putting a thin coat on here. And I'm going to line it up really well before I put any pressure on it. Real light coat, all right? That's it. And I'm going to there we go. I'm going to line this pattern up, this template up really, really well. That bottom edge where the pattern is flat, because I don't want to cut. This is kind of a pain. And I'm going to line up the nose. Get the nose first. There we go. All right, I've got it lined up. I'm going to check that it's lined up really well first, and then I'll put a little pressure on it so it doesn't move around. All right. Oh, geez, that glare. All right. I'll fix that. I'll edit that out later. Okay, so I just figured out this white piece on that black mat, everything overexposes. You can't see a thing. You put it on a white background, guess what? You can see everything, okay? So I think that's a lot better. So what I've done is, again, because you couldn't see very good before, I cut this pattern out exactly. I've lined up the bottom of the template with the bottom of the wood because they're both straight. And now, and then I put a little bit of glue stick on the paper and I pressed it down in place. I'm ready to start cutting. Notice where it says wing and tail, all right? Those are not cut marks. That is where my wing is going to go. Because remember, people had their wings in different places for the center of gravity. Remember, your wing might have been originally all the way up here, but you had to move it back here for the center of gravity. Different planes, different wing, different wing styles, the wing had to be moved around. This is telling you in your design where your wing ended up. So what's a really good idea to do right now is where it says the wing is the back of the wing and the front of the wing, put a pencil mark on that wood. You are going to use that when you glue your wing to the fuselage later. Pencil marks right there line up exactly with what my design was and what it printed out in the template. Down here, I can't really do it until I cut this wood out, so we'll wait on that. Excuse me. Now I'm going to start cutting. Again, make sure you're turning this around so that you're just kind of cutting straight towards you. You can hold the hobby knife in a comfortable position like a pen or pencil, and you're just going to take it super slow and easy. That first cut is the most important because it's going to cut that groove in the wood, so you really want to just barely press down on that because you're getting that groove in that first cut, and it sets up all the other cuts. Actually, this stuff is cutting a lot easier than I thought. I thought it might be kind of hard because it's thick, but I'm through. Just 3 passes, and I was not pressing super hard. There we go. All right. That was easier than I thought. Hang on to this little piece right here. Hang on to all your scraps. And now I'm going to do the back of the fuselage, the tail area again, same thing. I'm just going to follow. That first cut is going to be super slow, super deliberate, super accurate. I'm barely even pressing down. I'm really just trying to get kind of a groove that's super accurate that my subsequent passes are then going to follow. And you'll see the knife drops right into that groove. And none of these passes, at no time am I putting a lot of pressure on this knife because this is just balsa wood and I'm cutting with the grain. And I think I'm through. It just takes 3 passes. Wow, that is super duper easy. All right. Boom. And then I just need to shorten it off a little bit. And this again, just probably take more passes for this little nub on the end than it did the rest. All right, there we go. My fuselage is cut out. All right. Make sure you transfer these pattern marks where it says wing and tail up to the top of your glider. So later, when I go to glue the wing on here and the horizontal stabilizer, I know exactly where it's going to go. So there we go. That is fuselage cut out and marked. You can peel the paper off now. So I've got my fuselage, I've got my wings, and they are going to go there. Notice they match up with the mark perfectly. All right. Well, we'll do that later, okay? All right, that's the end of this video, the fuselage.